The sun had set hours ago, leaving the neighborhood in quiet darkness. Streetlights flickered, and the familiar hum of suburban life had slowed to a whisper. But in one house, a horror was quietly unfolding that would shock an entire community. What should have been the safety of home, a place where families gather, where children grow, and where bonds of love are nurtured, became the stage for an unimaginable act of violence. It started with a dispute, a tension simmering for months between a mother and her daughter. On the surface, they seemed like any other family. Friends and neighbors described them as ordinary, with their share of disagreements like anyone else. But behind closed doors, the relationship had deteriorated into something dangerous. The daughter, whom authorities later identified as Michaela Turner, had been struggling with anger and resentment toward her mother, Linda Turner. The reasons were complicated. Financial stress, personal grievances, and long-standing family tension had created a volatile situation that no one outside the household could fully understand. Neighbors recalled seeing Michaela argue with her mother on several occasions. Doors slammed, voices echoed down the street. Some assumed it was typical teenage rebellion, a common storm in family life. But what seemed ordinary to outsiders was actually a warning of what was about to come. On the night of the crime, Michaela had apparently reached a breaking point. The argument escalated, and in a sudden eruption of rage, she attacked her mother. Bodycam footage from responding officers later revealed a scene that was both horrifying and surreal. Linda Turner was found lifeless inside her home, evidence of a violent struggle surrounding her. But what made the crime truly shocking was what came next. Michaela did not stop at murder. In an act that would leave investigators struggling to comprehend the psychology behind it, she moved her mother's body to the backyard. There, she placed her on a grill, an object typically associated with family gatherings, summer cookouts, and laughter. The same grill where families roast hot dogs and share meals became a tool for desecration. Michaela set the grill ablaze, attempting to destroy evidence and perhaps, in a twisted way, erase the reality of what she had done. When emergency services received the call, neighbors were already reporting strange odors and smoke rising from the house. Officers arrived on scene, body cams rolling, capturing the chaos as it unfolded. The footage is haunting, showing the first responders cautiously approaching the home, unsure of what they would find. Smoke billowed from the backyard, and the officers could see the charred remains of the grill and signs of a violent struggle inside the home. The sheer brutality of the act left everyone stunned. Michaela was found nearby, and her behavior during arrest was chilling. On the camera, she appeared detached, almost indifferent to the horror she had caused. There was no visible remorse, no panic. Instead, she displayed a level of calm that made the entire situation even more terrifying. Law enforcement later described her demeanor as eerily composed, a stark contrast to the violence she had just committed. The investigation that followed revealed a complex web of family dysfunction, mental health issues, and simmering rage. Michaela had been struggling with untreated emotional problems for years, compounded by the stress of a strained relationship with her mother. Experts later testified that she exhibited signs of deep-seated anger and unresolved trauma, which, when combined with the immediate argument, triggered the violent act. But understanding the psychological factors does not make the crime any less horrifying. The method of murder, followed by the act of attempting to burn the body on a grill, revealed a calculated and disturbing mindset. It suggested a desire not only to eliminate her mother, but also to assert control over the situation in a grotesque and symbolic manner. The grill, an object meant for nourishment and warmth, became a symbol of destruction and desecration. The bodycam footage played a crucial role in the investigation. It captured every second of the officers' response, their caution, and the unfolding horror of the scene. It documented the first responders' shock and disbelief as they navigated the house, encountering evidence of violence and the aftermath of the fire. Without this footage, the full extent of Michaela's actions might have been harder to convey in court. The video provided irrefutable proof of both the crime and the disturbing behavior displayed by the perpetrator. During the trial, prosecutors presented a detailed account of the events leading up to the murder. They described the tension-filled relationship between mother and daughter, the escalation of arguments over time, and the final confrontation that ended in death. The act of burning the body was presented as evidence of premeditation and a chilling lack of empathy. The jury was shown portions of the bodycam footage, carefully edited to convey the facts without causing unnecessary trauma to viewers. Even with these precautions, the reaction in the courtroom was intense. People struggled to comprehend how a daughter could commit such a violent act against her own mother. Defense attorneys attempted to argue that Michaela was acting under extreme emotional distress, that the act was not fully premeditated, and that her mental state at the time impaired her judgment. They presented psychologists who testified about her emotional instability and the long history of familial conflict. However, the prosecution countered with the sequence of events and the deliberate nature of moving her mother's body to the grill, demonstrating that, despite emotional turmoil, Michaela made conscious choices that resulted in the murder and subsequent desecration. Throughout the trial, experts spoke about the rarity of such crimes. Filicide, the act of a child killing a parent, is extremely uncommon and often associated with profound psychological disturbance. Cases like this attract attention not only because of the violence, but also because they challenge fundamental assumptions about family relationships. A mother and daughter are expected to have a bond based on care and protection, yet in this case, that bond was shattered in the most horrifying way imaginable. The psychological profile of Michaela revealed several key factors that contributed to the crime. First, there was a long-standing pattern of resentment and anger toward her mother. Second, there were signs of detachment and emotional instability, which made it difficult for her to process conflict in a healthy way. Third, the act of using the grill to burn her mother indicated a level of symbolic thinking, a desire to assert control, and perhaps obliterate the reality of her actions. Experts described this combination as exceptionally dangerous, and it provided insight into how ordinary disputes can escalate into extraordinary violence under certain conditions. Community reaction to the crime was intense. Neighbors who had known the family for years expressed shock and disbelief. Many admitted that they had suspected tension between mother and daughter, but never imagined it could escalate to murder. Local schools and organizations responded by offering counseling services to help residents cope with the trauma, emphasizing the importance of recognizing warning signs of familial violence before it reaches a tipping point. Law enforcement agencies also used the case as a learning opportunity. Training programs emphasized the importance of bodycam technology, early intervention in domestic disputes, and understanding the psychological factors that can lead to extreme acts of violence. The footage from the Turner case was analyzed extensively, not to sensationalize the tragedy, but to improve responses and prevent similar incidents in the future. Michaela Turner was ultimately convicted of first-degree murder and desecration of a body. The verdict brought a sense of closure to the legal process, but it could never undo the horror of what had happened. The trial, the footage, and the testimonies left a permanent imprint on the community and the law enforcement officers who responded. The case became a stark reminder that danger can lurk within familiar walls and that violence can erupt in ways no one could predict. This crime also sparked broader conversations about mental health, family dynamics, and the warning signs of extreme behavior. Experts emphasized the importance of seeking help in situations of prolonged family conflict, addressing emotional instability before it escalates, and creating support systems for both parents and children. While no intervention could have guaranteed prevention, understanding the risk factors might help avert similar tragedies in other households. Bodycam footage from this and similar cases also revealed the emotional toll on law enforcement officers. Witnessing such extreme violence, especially within a family, leaves lasting effects. Officers reported nightmares, anxiety, and difficulty processing the scenes they encountered. Departments increasingly recognize the need for psychological support for first responders exposed to traumatic events, highlighting that the impact of such crimes extends beyond the immediate victims. In the end, the story of Michaela and Linda Turner is not just a tale of murder. It is a chilling exploration of human psychology, familial tension, and the tragic consequences of unresolved anger and resentment. It is a reminder that danger can arise where it is least expected, even within the supposed safety of home. The act of using a grill to burn a loved one, the calm detachment of the perpetrator, and the subsequent legal proceedings all contribute to a narrative that is both horrifying and instructive. For viewers, the case offers lessons about vigilance, empathy, and intervention. Recognizing patterns of emotional instability, seeking professional help, and maintaining open lines of communication within families can sometimes prevent escalation. While the Turner case represents an extreme and rare scenario, it underscores the need for awareness and proactive measures to address potential risks before they spiral into violence. Ultimately, the tragedy of this case lies not only in the murder itself, but in the betrayal of trust, the collapse of a family bond, and the grotesque transformation of a symbol of domestic life, a backyard grill, into a tool of horror. It forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about human nature, familial relationships, and the thin line between ordinary disputes and acts of extreme violence. As the story circulates in the media and online discussions, It serves as a haunting reminder of the dark potential that can exist in familiar places and relationships. Every viewer watching the body cam footage, reading the reports, or hearing about the case is confronted with the chilling reality that violence can erupt anywhere, often when least expected. And while the legal system provides justice, it cannot restore life, heal trauma, or erase the horror of what happened on that fateful night. The case of Michaela Turner and her mother, Linda, will remain a grim example of extreme familial violence, captured in unforgettable detail thanks to modern law enforcement technology. It is a story of anger, resentment, and the devastating consequences of unresolved conflict. It is a story that challenges our understanding of family, safety, and the human capacity for cruelty. And it is a story that, once witnessed, leaves a lasting impression, a reminder of how fragile the line between ordinary life and unspeakable horror can truly be.